When it comes to discussing weapon balance in Titanfall 2, it can be kind of a slippery slope. To some, various weapons may seem balanced, while others can only watch in despair as they go up against said weapons. And so when it comes to this topic of discussion, there's one weapon that sits atop all of the controversy. Today, we're going to be talking about the Spitfire. Being one out of only 3 LMGs in the game, the Spitfire doesn't have any super unique gimmicks compared to its other brothers in arms. With a monstrous base mag size of 80 and leaning towards a lower fire rate compared to the other automatic weapons in the game, the Spitfire sounds like your typical vanilla LMG. However, as you're about to see in the following clips, some people tend to view this weapon as no skill or overpowered. Starting off with its damage output, at max ramp up, you're looking at a pretty solid 50 damage per shot. Accounting for fall-off damage, you're looking at around an average of 3 shots to kill, which at a fire rate of 47 is pretty respectable. Now, looking at its accuracy stat, we can see a low value of 39. Makes sense, as you can see here, as soon as we start shooting, our hipfire reticle starts to quickly expand. Combined with the increased accuracy penalty while sliding and jumping, this proves the Spitfire to be unreliable in close range. At medium to long range though, it's a whole different story. With the range of 75, the Spitfire actually is in the upper echelon of weapons, at least when we go off the base range number at face value. However, to counteract the idea of firing all 80 rounds continuously, once around 20-30 bullets are fired, the recoil pattern becomes noticeably harder to control, meaning that the weapon is encouraged to be shot in quick bursts. And now all that combined leads into the main problem that most people have with this weapon. The Spitfire encourages to play slow and camp. Titanfall 2 is a movement game. Everybody knows that. And so it's quite understandable when people want to let loose and freely explore that very intricate movement system that's right in front of them. Respawn had this in mind, so every map was designed with the intent to be able to wall run, jump, and climb just about anywhere. But therein lies a problem. With such long sightlines and barely any cover between open areas, turns out that simply waiting for your opponent to come flying in with a decent ranged hit scan weapon in your hands becomes really viable. As it turns out, the Spitfire is, well, quite notorious to perform this one role really well. Especially with the fact that apparently the aim assist for LMGs is supposedly 30% stronger than what it's supposed to be, and as a result, people feel that the very nature of this gun goes against literally all the principles of Titanfall 2. Because why move fast and shoot gun when you can sit still and shoot gun while being safer? When it comes to Spitfire users, they can usually be separated into 4 categories: Cloak, the Grapple, the AWOL, and the Gunrunner. Cloak users will typically still move around, albeit at a much slower pace. While Cloak, they usually tend to hop from building to building at a snail's pace while they look for victims along the way. The Grapple pilots also tend to operate in this way. However, these guys will look for the most outrageous positions to set up in, and they'll usually grapple away at the nearest site of danger. The most notorious out of the bunch though are the AWOL pilots, quite often known as the embodiment of camping. I don't think I really need to explain this one. And while the least common and most respected of the groups, if you can even call it respect, the Gunrunners play the game like any other fast-moving pilot. Except they try to rely on the Spitfire's huge mag size instead, and will often try to go for hipfire kills. So out of all the categories of pilots, 3 of them technically go against what is the ideal version of Titanfall 2. With that out of the way, it's easy to see why people villainize this weapon so much. But what about the other side? The group of people who don't think this weapon is overpowered. When it comes to it, the most common defenses of the Spitfire usually comes down to this. 1. The poor hipfire accuracy is a death sentence in close range. 2. It's a skill issue. And 3. I can use whatever I want. And I'll tell you straight up, these are all true. To an extent. You see, when it comes to conversations like this, it's a lot more complicated than just A and B. While the poor hipfire accuracy is certainly true, most good Spitfire players will never encounter this problem because they'll simply avoid playing into that weakness of the gun by posting up somewhere in the back. And even if they do get snuck up on, it's not like the hipfire accuracy is the worst thing in the world, considering that they have 80 bullets to spray and pray with. For those who say it's a skill issue, more often than not, that expression is used in bad faith. Situations can become unavoidable, and while you can certainly say that you can counter it, for the other person, it just becomes unfun being forced to suddenly play in a completely different way because, oop, that guy is dominating with a power position. But I do believe in being able to use whatever you want to play with. At the end of the day, it's just a video game, and in reality, it's not that deep. However, that doesn't mean that's good. Being dominated in a game doesn't feel too great. Sure, it can happen a couple of times, but at the end of the day, all of us want to get a good win or two. Or at least something that's close enough to a win. And so, personally, what I find truly matters is the balance of enjoyment. It's for that reason that whenever I see that I'm in a game that we're winning by a landslide, I go easy. Maybe I switch to a different weapon, or maybe I just don't drop my Titan at all in the hopes that I can make the match at least a little more bearable when it comes to the end result. Don't forget that while you're having fun in Titanfall 2, there are other people there enjoying the game with you. So why not take the effort to lower your skill level, or at least try to, in order to get a seemingly well-balanced match? If you don't agree, then let me ask you this. While it's perfectly okay to take pride in being good at the game, do you actually enjoy the satisfaction of being good? Or do you just enjoy making it your entire personality and rubbing it in people's faces? If it's the latter, then, I don't know, learn some empathy. I guess. Little tangent aside, as for where I sit on the Spitfire, I do think it is a little overpowered, if not only for the fact that it can feel quite oppressive at times. But while I may grumble about it, it's not something that would make me quit the game, and I'm honestly sort of okay with people using it. Anyways, that's gonna be all from me. Make sure you like, subscribe, yada yada. Oh, and make sure you join the Discord and network as well. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.